Well, yeah, you've read the title. You're either here because you like the game, you hate the game, or you want to buy it and you want to know if it's any good. And it's true, in my opinion anyway, that E.Y.E is perhaps one of the worst games I've ever played. I can only really recommend it to people who want to be that guy at a party. It's obnoxious, needlessly complicated, a shitty translation ruins any hope of understanding or appreciating dialogue, and the combat is boring. That's the TLDR of this video, but let's expand on that a little. If you've watched any of my other videos, you should know that I can appreciate jank or a game that has vision but not necessarily the budget or skill to see it through. I am not averse to playing games that are buggy messes. But, you know, those games often have heaps of soul. I played Hunt Down the Freeman, and I constantly find myself tempted to throw in references to it in all my videos because that game actually grew on me over the week I edited that video. But for whatever reason, I just did not do that to me. Well, I guess for you, the viewer, what even is E.Y.E? E.Y.E Divine Cybermancy is a confusing game. It is a first-person shooter RPG, but even that seems too narrow for what this game actually is. I mean, this is a game that front-loads itself with 23 tutorial videos and a manual for a digital release. A manual that just points to the tutorial videos. The game is very mechanically complex, and even then, a lot of the mechanics are just strange. Some of them are just pointless though, and really just shouldn't exist, at least in their current states. Like how hacking is a real-time strategy of sorts, or how my cyber legs keep breaking. God, I hope my legs are okay. Maybe that makes sense for a game that is based on a private tabletop role-playing game that developers made, and then based E.Y.E on, and for the record, it only exists within their company and their social group. No one has ever seen the mysterious Ava in the wild. But it is also worth noting that E.Y.E didn't just spawn out of thin air. The devs did make a Half-Life 1 mod called Syndicate Black Ops that people seem to have really liked. So, buckle up. This game is, well, it's E.Y.E Divine Cybermancy. I don't really know what else to front-load this with, so, presentation, I guess. E.Y.E is a Source Engine game, and it shows. It was released in 2011, and even based on games released in that year, like the original Dark Souls or Skyrim, it looks terrible. Everything is flat looking, and from experience, it is hard to get Source games looking good. It's an engine that hasn't aged well, and it's hard to get Source Engine content to look new in any way. I mean, like, let's be honest here, Half-Life 2 looks pretty bad by today's standards, and I understand why it looks bad, but that isn't the whole story here. The art style in E.Y.E Divine Cybermancy is superb. It's pretty clear from just the opening area that this game is something else. We have these massive fuck-off swords embedded into the ground. It feels like Warhammer 40k, or something on a similar level of grandness. Our dead mentor here looks like an angel of war, but also mixed in with a Roman general. It's a really neat touch. Most of the NPCs in the game look interesting. E.Y.E, the faction we're a part of, has two subsects. One is the Roman general, and the other is like this cyberpunk samurai. Again, cool. But most of the enemies are blatant copies. The necromorphs from the Alien series. We have the cyber demon from Doom, and Gene Still is from 40k. That one I can forgive, because the devs did go on to make 2 Warhammer games, so maybe that was actually a good thing. But my point is, for a game that already severely suffers from a lack of variety in nearly everything visual, levels, weapons, enemies, it's quite funny that they go and, I'm not going to say copy, but take inspiration from other games or media. It's creatively bankrupt, frankly. Like, I like the general set of the game, but the enemies for the most part are just them so clearly struggling to come up with anything original. We're space gladiators, effectively, fighting space samurai, and you can't come up with some space enemies that are original? I just find it so annoying that this is where the game is. And this isn't even the worst of it. I mean, if you looked at the runtime of this video, we're only just getting started here. Well, what about the levels? Again, I dig the aesthetic. This cyberpunk future where every ad is about a gun or buying a prostitute. I like how many of the buildings are enterable. but they're very, very empty from a gameplay point of view. They just exist in case an objective is randomly placed there. And then we have this stupid fucking fog that sits at the end of our vision. Maybe this is done to make the game easier to run, but I wish I could turn it off. It doesn't add anything to the game, it only subtracts. And this is uniform across pretty much every map. Some have it worse, some have it better, and then it, well, the levels just get worse, okay? Because the other side of the level coin are non-city maps. This is, the fog should work here, right? Because, see, these are barren, desolate wastelands. It's Mars, I think. It makes sense here, sure, but it's just full of old buildings, but it's just empty expanse. Which means, yeah, you guessed it, you have to walk around heaps. And in a game where the movement speed is so fucking slow, unless you do what every fan of the game says and upgrade your legs, making your movement so fast that the aneurysm stops, which, yeah, we will get to later, but God almighty, let's just talk about the gameplay now. Well, I hate this game. I hate nearly everything about it. We have most of the good stuff out of the way now, and this is where I can really just talk about what I hate. Which I guess means we can start with the combat. It is a standard FPS, pretty much, but it does have some additions in the form of side powers. These are just magic, effectively. You can summon clones which act as shitty AI bullet decoys, and they're simply terrible. They barely actually fire back or do anything, so you can use them to distract enemies, and that's kind of it. So what's next? Well, I don't really care or know, to be honest. I didn't spec into it, because the gunplay is simply more useful most of the time. Yeah, this is an RPG, but it's the most shallow RPG I've ever played. The amount of different skills you can spec into seem really expansive and rather exhaustive, but the thing is, all of them are important and need to be upgraded. It's not like you can build a character that's good at one thing, because you have to get all the other stats up to a base point before that. If you want a character that just does melee attacks, because nearly every enemy is ranged, you'll just get shot twice and fucking die. The first few levels are piss easy, but then you discover the difficulty curve is more like an upwards fucking climb, and it just shoots out of the fucking blue. Okay, so maybe you just shoot them back. Sure, it's a gun, it's pretty normal. The game has a very decent variety of guns. I do think it's good how I doesn't make them linear upgrades. Each gun is useful for something different, but in saying that, it does mean you can get through the entire game using the basic assault rifle. But even in saying that, the third pistol, which you can unlock, which is like a 4-shot revolver, is legitimately the best gun in the game. It is a 1-shot kill on pretty much everything. It's a 2-shot kill on the reskinned flying Half-Life 2 gunships, or a 3 and 4-shot kill on the walking tanks that are the Cyber Demon reskins on Mars. The recoil might be a tad much on nearly every gun, but the thing is, this is an RPG, so you can just upgrade your character so that recoil and random spread go down. But it never seems to go away, or really in my experience, get to a comfortable level. I guess you could activate the implant and improves accuracy, but that consumes energy that you need so you can sprint. And sprinting is important because the map is designed by someone who doesn't understand the concept of spatial relations or some shit. These maps are massive, they are so big, and so empty of content. You will literally spend minutes running around the map, enemies spawning in front of you and behind you, shooting at you, causing you to stop, making the fucking journey to another NPC who just speaks broken English and your attempt to be all meaningful and deep that much more frustrating. Make sure you don't take a wrong turn, because you won't know until you walk for 5 minutes and you have to walk back. These maps are designed as mazes, but why? The fucking objectives are set in stone. I don't get it. But the solution to all of this is upgrade your cyber legs, because that will make you run faster. But you need Brouzoufs to get these upgrades because they aren't stats, but upgrades. The distinction here is important. Stats are XP points, upgrades are money. You get them the same way by killing people or doing objectives. It is a decent system, but you get too little of the money for killing even the biggest and hardest enemies in the game. And I played this through on the hardest difficulty, by the way. The skill and upgrade page where you get more armor, damage resistance, hacking speed, running speed. You will need to max out all of these to get anywhere within the game. This game is fucking brutal. Every enemy past the halfway mark is a bullet sponge, and it is simply terrible. There's no real way to upgrade your weapons other than upgrading a stat that gives the weapon damage. So you could go from the start to the end of the game using the same weapon loadout, and that's fine. But the game has a shop that sells new weapons. This is pretty standard, of course. The weapons here are fine, but you can research more. But none of these researchable weapons are gonna be unlocked on your first playthrough, because you're dumping all of your Brouzoufs, I don't fucking care, money, into upgrades so you can run faster. The general loop of upgrading is so fucking flawed. You need stronger legs so you don't fucking blow your brains out. I thought games were meant to tickle the brain, not fucking numb it. I have never been more bored playing a game. I even got angry, and that doesn't happen. I mean, I bet fucking Ornstein smell without fucking emoting. And sometimes these little French indie games you want to die. And I thought fucking Eastern Europeans had the whole depression thing down pat. The main cause is just how blissfully unaware of this game is of how difficult it is. And I don't mean like the get good type of difficulty. This game is difficult because it's poorly made, not because it's a challenge. I mean, fuck, let's talk about the fucking inventory screen when you're choosing your loadout. You have to manually drag every fucking ammo clip into a grid. It takes so long. You could realistically get an RSI from this, and I'm not even fucking bullshitting, you actually could. But that's only if you don't get this stupid loading screen tip telling you that you can click on the ammo in the selector and then on the grid space and it'll put one there for you. How the fuck would you do that organically? I've never seen that before in all my years playing games. Not that I remember anyway. It is just such a strange design decision. Why not just click on the ammo that added to the inventory? You don't have to play inventory fucking Tetris anyway. The only thing you can put in there is grenades, medkits, ammo, and weapons. You don't even have to figure out how to stick some fucking random object in there, so you don't nig this screen. And furthermore, just remove the fucking weight system. It is so fucking stupid. In a game where you already move at a snail's pace when you carry anything heavier than a fucking pea, just remove the fucking debuff. This game is so slow, unless you grind for hours and upgrade your legs, but it gets so expensive. Even on the highest difficulty, which as far as I can tell, ups the money to kill ratio, but it's still laughably small. It's just so fucking baffling. The real trick with E.Y.E is just to upgrade your health and legs to the point where you can be in and out of a mission in minutes as you avoid all the enemies, thus avoiding the entire game. That's the secret. That is what literally everyone recommends, even the people that have hundreds of hours in this game. If the secret to enjoying E.Y.E is to avoid all the content by speeding through it, then the game is not good or fun. It's only fun because you went from the speed of a snail to the speed of a 5-year-old in red cordial. The fun is in the contrast, not what it actually adds to the game. But how much grind is needed to get there? How many things do you have to overlook to make the many hours needed to get the XP and money enjoyable? But I do also believe that this is it's one of the games that people like because it's one of those games. It is an underground cult classic full of memes and funny dialogue. Like, wow, my legs are okay, or I got Brouzouf. People like the haha funny. Fair enough. I've already used a couple of those like myself, so I'm guilty of it as well, but I don't see the game there. I see the community and I see the videos made about the game, but not the game itself. I mean, even the narrative is a meme thanks to Mandalore Gaming, the whole cycles of grief thing or whatever. But if someone told me I had to play through the game 3 times to get the true ending, then I probably would never even bought this game, because isn't that just padding? Because as far as I can tell, there's actually no new content being added with each playthrough. Which brings me to that golden question. Should you buy E.Y.E? No, I don't think you should, but that's, yeah, to be honest, not the recommendation for everyone. This game is enjoyable to some. These people enjoy min-maxing games, they enjoy grinding and seeing that improvement. They would enjoy the story and putting it all together, and they must appreciate what E.Y.E was trying to do. And that's the big one. You have to look past a lot to like this game, but if you can do it, it's a good time. But I was not one of those people, which means, I guess that means that for most, the endgame is enjoyable, but the lead up to the endgame is annoying, boring, and frustrating. So, Unless you like min-maxing, I strongly do not recommend E.Y.E. And that's all for me today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Got a suggestion or a comment? Comment it down below. I'll catch you in the next one.